What's up gamers, Cryptico here, and welcome back to Lowering the Mark, a show where I analyze the current and former world records of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe time trial runs to see how these records get faster over time. We'll look at elements such as the loadout, racing lines, and mushroom usage to better understand what's bringing these times down. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my channel and hit the notification bell to be the first to know when my videos go live. For today's episode, we're going back out into space and taking a look at the newest version of everyone's favorite track, Rainbow Road at 200cc. On April 30th, 2017, the world record for this run was set at 1 minute 35.661 seconds by the American player Nick. Fast forward to not even 2 weeks ago, on November 26th, 2020, the world record was brought down to 1 minute 32.351 seconds thanks to fellow American player Technical. That's a 3.3 second improvement between records and a 3.5% faster time. Our former world record holder Nick has broken 31 world records across 35 unique runs and has spent 158 days holding at least one world record. Our current world record holder Technical has only broken 10 world records on this one run and has spent 41 days holding that world record. He's fairly new to the time trial scene, but he's quickly made a name for himself after taking this record by storm. As the title suggests, I've got a pretty special guest on the show today, and I'm really excited that he's here. Come on out.
Hey guys, I'm Technical, and I'm the world record holder for Rainbow Road on 200cc, and I'm really excited to be on the show to talk about my run.
Technical came out of nowhere and cracked the worldwide top 10 and eventually took this record down to its limits, so it's only fair that he be the one to talk about this run and how he flipped it upside down. He also has his own gaming channel that I find pretty cool, and you should go check that out. Let's get into it. At pre-release, the world record was set at a 144, and within a few days we'd see players dip well below 136 and down under 135, mostly thanks to American player Nick and Australian player FLC. He put up the first record on this course to last more than 5 days before two Japanese players came along and improved on that world record. FLC took that personally and grabbed the next 10 records to finish out the year with a reign that lasted over 300 days, and also dipping into 133 territory. In May of 2018, German player Nindragon beat FLC's time and brought it down further. It would also last for over 260 days. 2019 would see Japanese player YY put up 5 faster times, which included this 133.1 that lasted nearly 450 days. Japanese player Tane would be the one to beat YY, then Australian player Panda swooped in and beat Tane, and Technical would get his first world record by beating Panda. After just missing 132, Panda went on a tear and would take the record all the way down to 132.6. Just over a month ago, Technical would go on a tear of his own and bring the record down to 0.5, 0.4, and even down to 0.3, all of which were impossible a few months prior. In total, the world record was broken 80 times by only 12 different players. These loadouts are as similar as they come. Nick goes with the combo of the Splatoon girl driving the Biddy Buggy with the roller wheels and the super glider, while Technical goes with that same loadout except with Yoshi as the driver and the paper glider as the glider. Similar components mean similar stats, even with those different gliders and drivers. The top speed, acceleration, and grip stats are all the same, while Technical leads slightly in handling and mini-turbo stats. That slight edge in those stats is thanks to the paper glider, something Nick could have taken advantage of if everyone wasn't using the super glider in 2017. This version of Rainbow Road has received mixed emotions from the community, but I actually really enjoy this track. It feels like a pretty simple Rainbow Road, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's the type of Rainbow Road that would make your friends think they had a chance to beat you. That, and I personally really enjoyed time trialing on this track. Nick starts off the race with a rocket start and quickly gets into 2 mini-turbos before the first hairpin. He'll go wide and brake drift heavily to get an ultra mini-turbo before the third turn, where he'll brake drift only slightly this time before hitting the glider ramp off of a super mini-turbo.
I start the runoff by using a mushroom right out of the gate and hitting 2 mini turbos as quickly as I can, and then immediately starting a drift to the right and collecting the first 3 coins. And I release the ultra mini turbo and hop to the right and start a tight drift in the opposite direction, collecting coins 4 and 5, and releasing the super mini turbo late enough to carry the boost through most of the glider section to end section 1.
Using that mushroom out of the gate definitely helped, but the lesser brake drifting Technical does is a major theme of this entire run. Already, he's put nearly a full second between him and Nick at the end of S1. Nick hits the trick off the glider ramp and goes for the 2 rightmost coins when he lands before hitting another jump boost and using his first mushroom to cut through the space station equivalent of off-road. After that, he tricks off the glider cannon before setting himself up for a super mini turbo at the start of S3.
Section 2 starts with a trick on the glider ramp, a 6th coin collected mid-air, and a smooth landing to collect coins 7 and 8. I trick as early as I can on the ramp upon landing. After this, I use my second shroom in the off-road and soft drift to the right to charge a super mini turbo as fast as possible. Next, I attempt what's called a fast glider. Rainbow Road's fast glider is the hardest of the tracks that contain a cannon due to the ramp being the largest and the most sloped of them all. After this, I immediately land and charge a super mini turbo while also collecting the 9th coin and release it just after the turn is completed to round out S2.
That better line, fast glider, and the tighter shortcut all amount to a few tenths of saved time and an increase to his lead, which now sits at 1.1 seconds at the start of S3. S3 for both racers on lap 1 is pretty much the same, but I still want Technical to explain his piece. As for Nick, he rides out the boost of that super mini turbo into this super cool spin boost fly-off shortcut in which he charges up another super mini turbo in the air to release on the ground before hitting another quick mini turbo and charging up an ultra one around the final turn on his way to the finish line.
Section 3 is likely the least complicated of them all, despite the fact that I have lots to say about it. A little after releasing the Super Mini Turbo, I start a new one in the exact same direction. I hit the spin booster on the left side to minimize the amount of air I get and charge a Super Mini Turbo while in the air. I land and immediately hop to the left twice and begin a soft drift that will eventually become an Ultra Mini Turbo, and hop and turn to the left, which allows the Ultra Mini Turbo to fully exhaust itself more efficiently than in the previous run. Recently discovered for this part, however, is what's known as a motion hop. By enabling motion controls, you can hop much tighter than with just your control stick, which allows you to hop earlier and ultimately save time. I finish section 3 by turning to the right as tight as possible and starting another drift that will carry into the next lap.
Now, even though these runs look pretty similar through lap 1, those little time saves and new strats for Technical add up quickly, as he's just put over 1.5 seconds between him and Nick after lap 1.
Lap 2's first section is the exact same as lap 1's, except you can take the turns tighter because there are no coins to collect. This also forces you to brake drift a bit earlier on the U-turn, as well as for a split second on the turn right before the glider ramp.
No need for me to chime in here because what Technical said is true for both racers. Not having to go wide to pick up coins always means taking those same turns as tight as possible. Although there might be something else I missed because despite doing the same thing as Nick, Technical was able to put 4 more tenths of distance between himself and his competitor at the start of S2. Nick doesn't do much differently in this section except fly on a more optimal line off the glider ramp. After that, he just hits the same jump boost and trim cut as lap 1.
S2 is also the same as lap 1 except for just one thing. Because I don't have to collect coins, I can low trick the ramp on the ground and get an additional boost before the shrim cut that saves a bit less than 0.1. The rest of section 2 is the same as lap 1, fast glider, SMT, etc.
That low trick right there is probably the most satisfying thing to watch and the reason I will never get this world record. It looks simple, but it requires you to be incredibly precise with your glider movement. At this point for Tech, it's probably just muscle memory, and it's part of why his lead has increased to 2.2 seconds at the end of S2. Now, Tech and I will both tell you that S3 on this lap is the exact same as lap 1, so I'm just going to glance over it and show you this one key difference. Once they make their way into the final turn, it's clear as day that Technical has taken a more optimal line over Nick. I mean, look at that, Nick is almost at the outer rim of the last turn. After another brake drift filled turn, both racers come flying through the finish line off their Ultra Mini Turbos, where Technical has only increased his lead further to 2.6 seconds and outsplitting Nick's lap 2 by over a second.
Lap 3 section 1 is pretty much the exact same as lap 2. No differences, just brake drifting and releasing mini turbos at the optimal points on the track.
At this point, I'm just saving time on recording these lines by having Technical do my job, but he's still right. S1 on the final lap is exactly the same for both racers. You can guess that he's still adding to his lead, which now sits at just over 3 seconds going into S2. For Nick, S2 on lap 3 has simply been an exact copy of the previous 2 laps. Good glider lines, a jump boost, and a cut through the off-road before the glider.
There's always a major difference in S2. Instead of aiming towards the middle of the ramp when you land from the glider, you aim to the left of it and do the trick similarly to how you do it on lap 1. Also, because you don't have a mushroom for lap 3, you go around the off-road by drifting as tight as you can on the green path without actually hitting the white portion, as that can actually lose you a bit of time. The remainder of S2 is the same as the previous 2 laps, aside from the fast glider being the easiest of the 3 laps.
Now, when I was running this track, I would fail here a lot and it was just endless pain for me. It's weird that you wouldn't want a mushroom cut for all 3 laps, but even with that lost time of drifting just outside the off-road is ultimately meaningless as Technical's lead has only shrunk by half a tenth of a second and sits at 2.9 seconds going into S3. Now here's the part of the video where I fill time by telling you that for both racers, the final section on the final lap is run the same way as they did on the previous lap, just hoping that they don't choke under the pressure of lap 3 and collapse because they fell off the they already finished. After 3 very intense laps, Technical posts a time that ends up being 3.3 seconds faster than Nick's former world record. So by executing various small time saves, doing the minimal amount of brake drifting, and that epic low trick on laps 2 and 3, Technical was not only able to break the record on this course, but to redefine what everyone thought was possible. When YY put up his 133.1, nobody in their right minds would think that another 0.8 of a second could be saved. Let's have a word with the man himself. What was going through your mind when you finally went 0.3?
I had been playing Mario Kart for over 16 hours in total that day, and I was really exhausted. To have gotten 0.3 after all of that was so relieving. On top of that, having gotten 0.3 in general felt completely unreal. I remember thinking 0.7 was barely humanly possible at one point. Then I thought 0.4 was the limit for humans, and now I have a mid 0.3. It felt truly surreal when I saw my time, and my reaction to it was insane despite it being 2 in the morning.
Why did you choose to run Rainbow Road, a track known for being one of the toughest courses to time trial?
I've been playing Mario Kart games since I was a little kid, and I've always been a huge fan of Rainbow Road. Because I started actively playing this game fairly recently, I figured I'll try to go for American top 10 on this track because it looks pretty fun, and I thought it'd be cool to have one of the best American times on the track I've always adored. I never really planned on going for anything super impressive. It all just kinda happened, I guess. I was visiting with my friend Nepesta, and when we were chilling and not really doing anything, I started setting some really good times on Rainbow Road. So I grew motivation and achieved my first worldwide top 10 time, and once that happened, I thought to myself, big things can really happen here. To have been able to rise up and bring this track down with Panda as much as we have has been a huge honor, and seeing how much I've improved not only at the track, but also at the entire game because of it has been a truly surreal experience.
Would you say that the best known split sum time of 132.246 is pretty close to a max world record, or can it get any faster than that?
The BKS time is indeed pretty close to what I think a max world record could be while using current strats. Since the addition of hybrid motion controls on the last turn of all 3 laps, the potential time for a future run has gone down from a high 0.3 to a mid to low 0.2. And in all honesty, I'm not really sure how much even the BKSs can be lowered, as they're all pretty strong. But I've been proven wrong many times, not only by myself, but other players as well, so we'll see what the future holds. That's all from me. Thanks Cryptico for having me on the show, and I'll see you guys later.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. Congrats again on your world record. The best known splits are again another reflection of how optimized this run has become under Technical. While none of these splits show up in the world record run, they do come pretty close. We don't know what the final time that included the best lap 1 split is, but the times that included the best known laps 2 and 3 are definitely good enough for a spot in the worldwide top 3. The best known lap 1 split is just 1 frame faster than that of the world record, which means it's basically perfect. Laps 2 and 3, however, do have a bit more time that can be taken off, 6 frames between the two. The sum time is just a 10th faster than the world record, and it's crazy to think that a 0.2 is actually on the table. Technical has put so many hours into perfecting this run and has put up some amazing splits along the way. With this level of optimization, it's hard to imagine anyone else going any faster right now. The worldwide top 10 consists of 7 national record holders and 4 continental record holders. At the top we have Technical, then a few tenths back was his main competitor Panda, and slowly creeping up the leaderboard is Alberto in 3rd, both multiple tenths behind their world record. French record holder Army sits in 4th with 1 of 4 times in the world under 133. Japanese players Tane and YY go 5 and 6, separated by just 3 100ths of a second. Rounding out the top 10 with just a 10th of a second between them, we have American players Arjan and Albert, Canadian record holder Eternal X, and German record holder Alpha. This is truly a world-class leaderboard. Between all 10 of these players lies 45 world records, or just under half of all records in the game. The fact that Technical was able to rise to the top against the likes of these high-caliber players is truly something special. It's safe to say that his time is pretty secure at the top spot, but again, anything can happen. And that's the end of episode 30 and the final episode of season 3. Shout out to Technical for coming on and talking about his run, and thank you all so much for the likes, comments, views, and overall support for this series. I'm glad that I've been able to make these videos for you every week, and it's been an amazing journey. I can't wait to come back with new ideas for this series in the new year, and I'm going to try to make season 4 better any way I can for you guys. As always, if you enjoyed this video, like and share it with your friends and comment on which course you want me to analyze next. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in 2021.